Now, Russia's defence minister has appeared on the Ukrainian front line for the first time since a mutiny and demands for his removal. The leader of the Wagner Group, whose mercenaries have fought side by side with the Russian military, led a rebellion on Saturday. Now, Wagner's chief blamed Sergei Shoigu for the fighters' deaths. He's also accused him of incompetence and corruption. After taking control of Russia's southern command post in Rostov-on-Don, Yevgeny Prigozhin demanded Shoigu be handed over to him to, quote, restore justice. Well, Prigozhin hasn't been seen in public since crowds cheered him off from Rostov-on-Don on Saturday evening. The Kremlin said Prigozhin had agreed to go into exile in Belarus. The fighters who joined the march on Moscow would not be prosecuted for treason. Yulia Shapovalova joins us now from Moscow. A lot of moving parts to this story, so let's just focus in on the defence minister and his appearance, finally.
Yeah, exactly. The Ministry of Defense has indeed released a video showing Minister Sergei Shoigu allegedly visiting and checking the forward command post of the Western group of Russian forces. The group is deployed into the Lugansk front, and this is Shoigu's indeed first public appearance since Yevgeny Prigozhin's rebellion. According to Russian state agencies, Shoigu assessed the situation, listened to the reports of the commander of the group, then held a meeting with other commanders and assigned them their combat missions. He also praised the Western group for their successes and advances and so on. Just some official, very dry official information there on the wire. Some sources allege that the video may be old, but it is probably a hint that Shoigu remains in his post. During the military rebellion conducted by head of the Wagner mercenary group, Yevgeny Prigozhin, on Saturday, Minister Shoigu never appeared publicly. We saw his deputies, Generals Surovikin, Alexeyev, Yunusbek, Yevkurov, addressing Wagner fighters, speaking to Prigozhin in Rostov-on-Don, trying to settle the conflicts. But many were asking back then about Shoigu and about his moves, and actually we saw nothing. Well, as we know, as you mentioned, one of the Prigozhin's accusations were the lack of munitions and attacks conducted by the Ministry of Defense on the Wagner Group.
Of course, the weekend saw great upheaval in that small area of Russia, and certainly worries in the Kremlin. Apparent conversations being held between the foreign ministries of the US and Russia. What more do we know about that during the rebellion?
Yeah, exactly. We know that the U.S. ambassador to Russia here in Moscow contacted the Russian Foreign Ministry because of the situation with the Wagner Group, and they discussed security after the mutiny conducted by Yevgeny Prigozhin. There were no contacts between Minister Lavrov and Secretary of State Blinken, according to reports. But probably, well, something will be organized. As we understand, because of the situation with the Wagner Group, NATO contacted the Russian Defense Ministry. That's according to the Italian La Repubblica. The alliance really feared a nuclear incident, and therefore, according to the Italian press, they held informal contacts with the Russian side. But basically, I think this information is pretty scarce. So, and probably we have to monitor, you know, and how the situation is developing.
Indeed, it certainly still is a developing situation. For the moment, Yulia Shapovalova for us in Moscow. Thank you.